Do you like apples? Welcome back to Do You Like Apples, your neighborhood podcast, where movies are the gateway and proximity is your value. Toy Story 5 is out shattering records at the box office, but as two jaded millennials, does the series live up to our unrealistic standards? Stay for a full spoiler review in our all-time animated movie, Mount Rushmore. But first, let's talk about Choose Your Adventure Day on June 27th, and then some movie news. Choose Your Adventure Day. Drew, is your calendar marked off this time?
Yes, sir. We
All
are
right, cool.
a go for Choose Your Adventure Day.
Got it.
on
No
Saturday.
kids that I have to worry about with their birthdays lining up or anything like that?
No birthdays happen to land on our Choose Your Adventure Day this time.
Incredible. Well, if you haven't seen our social media, we are throwing this event. It's been our month-long theme, Choose Your Adventure Day, based on the time Ryan and I, intro music creator Ryan, went to the movies, saw different movies, but still got a drink afterwards. We're trying to create that St. Louis wide on June 27th, and this is how things go. You don't have to see the same movie at the theater on our graphics. We purposely picked a movie theater and a restaurant close by. We have 7 partners, all offering something unique for your movie-going experience before or after. Buy the ticket beforehand, go to the place beforehand or after. It does not matter. They're offering things such as 10% off your tab, 15% off your tab, happy hour pricing all day on Saturday, or a free beer, glass of wine, or specialty cocktail. All of that will be in the show notes for every single specific location and what they're offering that day. And I'm a freak. We're putting on the event, so I feel like I should do this. I'm doing a movie crawl, a movie bar crawl that day. I'm seeing Supergirl at 10:15 a.m. at Marcus de Pere, and then going to Rosalita's for some free queso or guac afterwards with some family friends, and then ending the day at AMC Esquire for Jackass, going to Barrio to end the night. And I have feverishly been texting all of my guy friends being like, we're going to burn Barrio down. We're going to see Jackass. The vibes are going to be insane afterwards, and we're going to have our own experience similar to the story of Jackass afterwards. So Barrio, be warned. I'm trying to send a bunch of bros at you to end my night after already seeing 7 restaurants and 2 movies. So Drew, are you joining me for all 7 deals and 2 movies?
Yeah, of course. We're going to be loaded up on nachos, margaritas,
Yes,
burgers, tacos. What else is out there?
it sounds good. Yeah.
Free,
Hey, it's all you
one
can.
of them's offering a free beer. Like, come on, like let's get
that's
out
in
here,
Arnold,
people.
Missouri. Nowhere food and drink company. That's like the one place in St. Louis I don't have anybody to recruit, just to be like, somebody go there. So I'm putting up flyers all around St. Louis. I'm going to be doing some of that tomorrow and Wednesday, and I need to hit up some like Arnold coffee shops, maybe find the library, post one up in the library, and go from there.
No, but you've done some incredible work recruiting these establishments to get involved. Like they've all 7 of these have responded and want to be included. So this will be a fun day. I hope everyone takes advantage of these special deals and use it as an excuse to get to the movie theater, because there's a lot in cinemas right now. So plenty for people to go check out. A lot of different types of movies.
Exactly. And the goal is, I should have done this event when I was 24, but I'm doing it when I'm 34. But the goal is to have some people be inspired to invite the most massive amount of friends that they can, go to the movies around the same time, see the same or different movies. But if you see different ones, you have like 30 of your friends go and just meet at the same place afterwards. So that's the exciting part. Again, who doesn't love a communal experience seeing the same movie? But there's something unique about being okay with your friends going to see something else that you're seeing and still using the energy of the night. Some people might hate their movie. Some people might love it. Some people might stretch their interest a little bit by going along with the friends that they wouldn't normally see a movie with or something, but not necessarily because of that friend, but because of the movie they're seeing. So it's going to be a really fun day. And it's going to be busy, but it's going to be good. So, and Toy Story 5 is going to be out still. And Drew, this is where you can start talking a little bit more after my monologue to start the episode. But we're going to do a little bit of movie news that's going to feed into Toy Story and kind of the whole movie world. Variety reported, and so many other places did today, that Google and A24 are collaborating on AI-developed filmmaking tools, and the quotes that go with it to kind of soften some of our initial reactions. And it fits into our new mission, Drew. Behind the scenes, on our mission Google Doc, one of the things we talk about is being very honest about how Drew and I are film enthusiasts first and foremost. We've never made a film. We are not critics. So these type of conversations we like to weigh in on, and we want to start weighing in on, but also giving permission for filmmakers out there to teach us a little bit more about what these tools look like, how you feel comfortable or uncomfortable. So Drew, what's your initial reaction to hearing something like this?
Well, yeah, it seems like every other day there's some new announcement related to AI and filmmaking. Yeah, I think everyone is kind of trying to get a feel for the ground that's feels like it's constantly moving underneath us. I think as I'm sure, obviously as filmmakers, but then also as just movie fans and people who love this art form, what is it going to look like 5, 10, 20 years from now? Yeah, so I think I'm trying to stay while I'm as skeptical as a lot of people of AI advances and taking away jobs that human creativity is usually powering in this industry. I'm also trying to keep somewhat of an open mind about what it could entail. I mean, I think there are certainly, just like any field, AI is going to be a tool, and it's not going anywhere. So it's here to stay. So how can we use that tool in a responsible way? So I think that's what these artists and are hopefully trying to figure out. The ones that have signed on with an AI company or are testing these new technologies. Hopefully we're doing it in a smart, responsible way. Not obviously not everyone's going to do that, but as for the A24 Google partnership, just reading about it, A24 is a smart company. I think they would. I don't think they would jump into something like this without kind of having an idea of what they're hoping to achieve. So we'll see what comes out of it, but it may be something we as consumers never even notice. Like maybe it's all behind the scenes. Maybe it's storyboards and other technologies that are helping create these films in a behind the scenes, not kind of more invisible way. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, as with all these news, I'm still skeptical eye. I think healthy skepticism. But what about you?
I'm not a very healthy skeptic. It starts off with Darren Aronofsky, who had a huge part in the Sphere to start off with. I don't think he necessarily created it, but had believe the first show to go there. I imagine used some of that technology. He's the first reported in a lot of respects. I think he released a short film that was like a Revolutionary War AI type of thing. I saw circulate online, and then slowly, then as Steven Soderbergh kind of signs off on some of it and has an open mind, and then Martin Scorsese seems to be involved with a company. Ben Affleck was bought out by somebody to create tools using AI and all of that stuff. So increasingly smart people, but it's that line right now that I don't know. I'm trying to be honest about how I don't know any of the real implications of these tools in the film industry, but I also feel the most threatened by creative stuff using this at all. Like, it's one thing if you're at work, working a corporate job, like I have at my entire career, in finding tools to create better workflows, be more efficient, all of that stuff. But as someone on a journey with Do You Like Apples, trying to create something to start, my first goal is to stay away from it as much as I can. And then while I learn to be creative, and then hopefully have people that like the invite to start this segment, is like, hey, if you're listening to this and you actually have some knowledge, we can have conversations of trying to understand it a little bit more. But definitely feel not personally threatened by any of this, but definitely skeptical that I'm going to have any relationship to any of the stories going forward, just knowing that any part of the process of AI was used to even create storyboards or help with pre-production, find locations, get the lighting they want. As I think like the number one thing would be like taking away the ability of actors in my mind, where I'm like, don't ever touch that. That's crazy. If there's ever a full production with one AI character or anything like that, that would be scary. But so overall, I read this and see the headline first, obviously, and I'm like, A24, my sweet little boy, my sweet little angel, what are you doing?
My indie boy.
Yeah, exactly. But in this article on Variety, at least, it says that Google doesn't have any right to like their products. So it's not like Google is trying to become Apple in producing any of these products or anything like that. It's just Google essentially providing the technology, probably. So I wouldn't say I'm necessarily trying to be open to like what is entering the industry, but I do want to be more informed, and I think that will leave me unshaken with my like, okay, cool, that's good to know more about this technology and how it's affecting things, while also being mad or sad or frustrated or all of the above about where we're going to with art, especially because that's one of the things I care about the most. So yeah, it's really interesting spot to be in, reading these things and not having much knowledge, but knowing my feelings of stories and movies is valid. So that emotional whiplash is going to remain a little bit. So
yeah, I think trying to be as informed as we can, without knowing the how these things get made necessarily, or having that firsthand experience, trying to be more informed with what this means that this technology is entering the equation. I think, yeah, I agree in cases where a filmmaker might be using it visually, or trying to change something, or maybe use it in place of how they would have used human creativity before. I think is a bad thing in the long run, and I think just doesn't often look good when AI tries to replace what humans make visually. So that's a problem in a medium that is a visual medium, that's been around for 100 years. So, but I think there are ways where I think Scorsese is using it for storyboarding, and I think I watched that little video that he put out, and it seemed like this was something that was taking him forever, and I don't think he's replacing any employees or replacing any artists or anything in what he's using this for. I think it's maybe just making how he's getting to his end goal, his end result, a more efficient and maybe a more fully realized way. So that's the hope, I think. There's a lot of twists and turns to come with this technology, I'm sure. So we'll see, but yeah, there's a lot to come in the future.
Yeah, it's going to be such an interesting thing for anybody, especially people that have knowledge of it, to like deal with because I think stories that have touched on this type of future in movies especially have like brought the philosophical and the cultural and the societal implications of using this type of technology, and now it's being pushed against all those warnings over the years, and there is room probably to be okay with using this technology while also going deeper and deeper and deeper from the thousands of movies. I think it's Shay Serrano on Twitter, who's an amazing writer and podcaster and TV creator that I love to follow. And every time like something like evil, not this headline, this isn't so evil, but like something like that is similar, especially with technology. It's like, can you guys watch one movie one time? And that's how I feel about a lot of this stuff, where I'm like, I'm only coming from the warning perspective from a lot of movies. So therefore I'm like, we're just watch one movie, guys. This can't get any better from where we're starting. So,
so are you like on the like
caution.
It's a slippery slope mindset? Like if we use a little bit, then we're going to be using more, then more, and then we're going to be using a lot, and then it's downhill.
Yeah, I don't trust even the creators I love the most to have much self-control once they're being beat finally in box office, or getting a movie made that maybe they could have 5 years ago and feeling that pressure. But then you have Kane Parsons and Curry Barker that are coming up in this world as youngsters and are saying they're not going to use it or going to be learning with it. I have more trust in them potentially, like than I do like an older filmmaker just caving because they feel like they're being left behind, so therefore they have to use the technology in front of them to keep up. Whereas these young people maybe have more of an ability to use it responsibly. And I'm not sure I buy into
Yeah,
that
they're
either.
more
So
these guys in their 20s are more native to
mhm,
the digital world and growing up in a world with AI. So maybe they will know a little bit more,
mhm,
be able to use it more skillfully or avoid the pitfalls. I don't know.
right.
We'll see.
Exactly. So just wanted to start the conversation, and for the listenership that we do have, just know we're thinking about it and trying to become more informed, and that's only going to happen through conversations and being open, at least to the discussion of it. Again, not necessarily for me open to it being used, but that's partially because I don't have much knowledge. So, but I think that fits well into Toy Story 5 and the themes of that movie. Um, Came out over the weekend, just spanked everybody at the box office. Disclosure Day had no chance. Obsession had no chance in its week 7, still heroic and meteoric steadiness of that movie. Finally saw it today. I know you saw it over the weekend, Drew, with your son. Did your daughter go too? I can't remember. Or was it just?
No, she hasn't
Yeah.
been to a movie yet. I can't trust her to
Yeah.
sit still in a movie and quiet in a movie for 2 hours. She can't handle that yet. So maybe when she's 3 or a little older. But yeah,
Yeah.
I took the 5-year-old to see it, and
There you go.
it was a blast.
Yeah. So animated film, again, because of the lack of knowledge, is like the part of the industry I feel like is the most threatened. Who knows if that's true or not? But it was nice to see Toy Story 5 reckon with not so much AI, but just technology in general in the hands of
Mhm.
kids. Like it feels like the very obvious next step. When they first reported that that's what the movie was going to be, I was like, "Oh, really? It's so obvious." I'm like, "Well, what else are they going to talk about in the age of toys and all that
Yeah.
stuff? It has to be the next conversation." So I saw it today. Drew, give us your first impressions, especially as a dad being able to see it. I saw it solo today at theater at 2:55 p.m. So doesn't look great on me and my optics, but had a good time at the theater regardless. And then a little bit
Was it
later
a
in the
full
day,
theater?
no, it wasn't. But I was at Alamo.
Okay.
But a little bit later, a friend on Instagram, I saw that they posted a picture of themselves at Alamo at a screening, and I messaged her. I was like, "Were you at the 2:55 p.m. screening? I was there by myself." So glad to. I wish I would have seen you, so it would have made me seem more weird, or maybe it would have made me seem more weird, not less. But anyways, what did you think of Toy Story 5?
Yeah, I agree. Smart to tackle devices, screen time, that is the Toy Story 4 came out in 2019, 7 years ago. I think it's even more this for kids, this is even more of a talking point and something that parents and kids are reckoning with, and a whole generation is reckoning with, really. So uh, I think I trusted the Toy Story franchise to handle it well. It did seem obvious, like, well, of course you'd make a movie where the iPad is the villain, but it ends up being more. I don't think we're gonna. I don't know if we're gonna necessarily full out spoil the movie right now, but it ends up being more nuanced, I think, than you would think at first glance. I don't think it's a full on screed against devices and kids looking at a screen or anything like that. But I think I was a little surprised that it was this is really Jesse's movie,
Mm-hmm.
Jessie the cowgirl. It's like this is more than any. I mean, Toy Story 2 is where she was introduced. It was a big part of that one, but this one she is kind of moving into the main character role, with Woody kind of being a supporting player at the end of Toy Story 4, kind of being his coda, him kind of moving on, um, not living with the other toys at their new kid Bonnie's house, um, and yeah, I think a step up from Toy Story 4. I think like we said, this movie has a lot of things on its mind around kids growing up in a you know technologically minded environment. I thought it was more emotionally affecting than 4, which I
Mm-hmm.
liked, but I think I was maybe also just walking into this movie a little bit more tender than I do most movies. It's Father's Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I just turned 36 last weekend, taking my 5-year-old to see Toy Story 5. And Toy Story's, I want to say I saw it in theaters. I don't know if it was the first movie I saw in theaters, but it's one of the first movies I remember watching for sure as like a 5-6-year-old. So him being around the same age, I was definitely vulnerable to the charms and emotionality of this movie. And it worked on me for sure. I enjoyed it, and then it got me emotional, and then I enjoyed it again, and I was laughing, and a really nice ride. And I think I'm so glad, Toy Story 3 is, I think we'll talk about that movie here in a minute. I think is a masterpiece and was the perfect way to end the franchise. But I gotta say, I'm not mad that they kept making them, because these movies just continue to be good. So, but where was your head at leaving the theater today?
Well, you hit on it, talking about how we age with these movies. Potentially the first movie we saw in theater, Andy was 4, 5, or 6 in the first one. Second one, he's definitely less existent in the second one, but middle school seemingly. And then the exact year I went to college, 1 year after you, I think. But Andy going to college while I'm going to college, not playing with toys anymore, but maybe I should have. But remember a story of had some friends. I was not there. I was a very cookie cutter, goody two shoes high schooler, so I was not smoking pot. But a group of friends went separately from me, and it was like 10 of them got super high, and one of their parents last second was like, "Oh, I want to take all you guys to go see Toy Story 3." And they're all just at the house that they're hanging out at, and the mom or dad or both, I can't remember, just took like 7 of them while they're inconsolably high to see Toy Story 3. And I wish I was there now in my soon to be 35-year-old age that dabbles with that drug these days. So I did not go see Toy Story 5 impaired. That was the right call, since it was a Monday at 2:55 p.m. But I, with all that set up, went in with much more of an open mind than Toy Story 4, and leaving. This is definitely the last for me in the franchise, but it also is really good and sticks the landing especially. So most of the movie, I put on our notes or show notes, just like spoiler review, since we're not having many people watch this. I don't think they care about spoilers too much. So we'll make sure it's at the end of the episode, but eventually we'll get into some spoilers, because that's where a lot of the movie worked for me, were some of those twists and decisions at the end. But throughout, I think the biggest thing with this one is, even with Toy Story 4, this movie has such a amazing ability to create great villains. In Toy Story 4, tried to go more of a horror route with the dolls and kind of the antique style home. Mm-hmm. A little bit lesser of like a connection to that villain, but a forceful villain still. The iPad in this was pretty weak, I felt. And maybe that's part of the stance of, you hinted at the nuance. I appreciated that in some ways, of not just creating the iPad to be a big bad villain like they've had in pretty much every other movie. There's always a soft point with the villains and the Toy Story franchise throughout. But this one especially, I felt like was forgiven very fast, and the iPad was very sentient to the decisions of Bonnie and how that was affecting her and her friendships and all of that. And I was like, really, this iPad really gave up its villain shtick pretty fast. And that really bothered me with how that's been a strength for the Toy Story movies. So I thought that was the weakest part for sure. And then the parts I like, the cast, the voice cast is still amazing. They do a really good job of adding in refreshing new characters every movie, even if I thought the villain wasn't up to snuff. But Conan as the Wi-Fi connecting, potty training,
fantastic stuff.
Toy, very, very good. And I mean,
just awesome.
Conan's right in my alley. The dude can do no wrong. Like, I get, he's grating for some people. My mom being one of them, she's like, oh, I just can't. He annoys me. I'm like, I didn't find this out until I was like 30, and I was like, what? I thought I loved Conan because it was on all the time. It's like, she's like, no, you watched it. I'm like, oh, I thought you liked watching with me, but no, it turns out you're just letting me control the TV in the house, which thank you for that. So I thought that was a good addition. And then Joan Cusack as Jessie that was the brilliant part of Toy Story 2, creating a character just as emotionally present than Woody and Buzz in the first, and then her being as a voice actress, giving Jessie the emotional pool that each of these movies have. But from a new character in Toy Story 5, not a new character, but new centerfold character in Toy Story 5 was really, really cool, and kind of gave Jessie, there was no send-off, but kind of like, all right, that wrapped up. When Toy Story 6 comes out, maybe we'll get I'm trying to think of the next character they could even do.
Slinky,
yeah, the Slinky one. So I just thought they did that really well. And so, yeah, overall, very much liked it. Was entertained all the way through. It was an hour and 40 minutes. Wasn't bored. But it took a long time for the movie to get to the emotional beats, and with the laughs too. So it just felt more even throughout, and not so much of the high of highs that every other movie has had for me. So mixed, but I think positive mixed.
The reason I think it carried me through was because the middle part of the movie, where it could have been getting a little more meandering, is when Conan's Smarty Pants character is introduced.
Yeah, that's true.
And I thought he just absolutely stole the movie for, like, in the middle part of it. I thought his voice acting was brilliant. They smartly positioned that character, and Conan rises to the occasion, and it's just really funny, and also kind of pieces the beginning and end of the movie together, with his character. So yeah, the villain part of it, I agree. But I also think Toy Story, the franchise has gotten a little bit post-villain, I would make an argument for. I think the first three have, I think, a pretty clear villain that meets a comeuppance of some sort.
Yes.
I think the last two have featured, I would say, quote unquote villains, but are really more, complicated characters that kind of end up, you kind of end up seeing why they're acting the way they do, and they don't necessarily get vanquished or anything. It's more just they kind of end up coming to a place of acceptance, either by others or by themselves. So I think that was what they were going for with the lily pad character. The new characters besides Conan's character, I don't know if they were as strong as past movies. Like Toy Story 4 had Forky. That was like a, Tony Hale doing that was a very lovable new character. But I do want to talk about the end, because I think once it kind of gets into the last third, the emotion of it really started hitting for me. Maybe that's just as a parent.
No,
but I think it really worked, the last third of it.
Yeah, it totally did. It had nothing to do with where the villain ended up or where any of the side characters ended up. It's like fully, you said, beginning Jesse's movie, and had a particular twist that I thought really, really worked, and adds another layer to kind of each movie surprises me with how, like, I become sentient at some point in each of these Toy Story movies, where I'm like, why are we caring so much about these toys and them being left behind? They rehash this storyline over and over and over again. And then they finally, with Jessie, when I was like maybe losing, I'm like, oh, she's sad to be left behind again. Like, she knows the routine. And then it is revealed that her Emily named her daughter Jessie. And I was like, oh man, really pulled the rug out from under me. And in the best possible way. They could not have seen that resolution to that storyline fit any more perfect. And I thought that calmed me down as a frustrated movie persona, or not persona, a moviegoer. And then that reveal happened, and all the other characters being there to witness it. And oh man, really recentered me to the themes of the movie. And for that particular plot point, like the beats they've hit in every other movie, this is probably, like, we almost should have, instead of Mount Rushmore, done like top 10 Toy Story moments. Like this is up there potentially. Like
be up there for you.
Yeah, I think so. Like it really worked for me.
Yeah, that part worked like a charm on me too. But the other part was the
Yes,
Bonnie character.
I was vamping to kind of get ready for this is the king of the movie, the scene of the movie for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bonnie character kind of, throughout the movie is she's a shy, probably 7, 8 year old girl,
Yeah.
having a hard time, talking to friends, making friends. She's of course the one child who still plays with actual physical toys and doesn't
Right.
have a screen. But of course her parents break down to get her a screen because they, like all parents, just want their kids to be happy and want them to make friends. So this is a way of connection, which I thought that was an interesting little subplot there. Like this actually is kind of helping her make connections with friends now that she's
Mhm.
got this device and can play games with her friends online. Is it the right people though? I think is what the movie kind of questions. The right people for Bonnie, and near the end, um, she finds this friend who's kind of, lives out in the country. She's kind of a horse girl. She is a horse girl. Her name is Horse Girl on online. Um, and I just that really got to me. I mean, as a father of a child who's a shy, reserved kid who, doesn't quickly make friends. That really hit me hard, like a
Mhm.
ton of bricks. Like her Bonnie kind of finding her, because as a parent, you want your kid to easily make friends. You want them to find their people. And Bonnie in this movie, she kind of ends up finding her people a little bit. Um, and that really, I think, sent the message home for me, and I think kind of thematically worked with the rest of the movie, and tying in with the Jesse uh, plot as well, and her kind of coming to a kind of serenity around her past. So yeah, I thought that was all kind of brilliantly done. And I think that kind of ultimately papered over any concerns I had about the movie. I think that part just really hit home for me.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, yeah, I totally agree. The reveal of Jesse was more like it was emotional, but more like impressive that they hid that from me, and I like there's no way I could have predicted that that was going to be the cure for Jesse in that moment. And I thought that was like a just a wonderful hidden plot point. That was also emotional, but um, yeah, when Bonnie, I think the character's name was Blaze, uh,
Yeah, the horse
becomes
girl.
friends with Blaze. Finally, yeah, the horse girl was yeah fully had me crying in the theater. Like the Denzel single tear was coming down my face.
I had a
So
similar thing going
yeah.
on. Yeah.
A little bit more embarrassing being a solo person at the theater with a decent amount of people, but yeah, just those moments as a kid, you don't have any emotional comparison to anything of like meeting that first friend that you really connect with. But as a
Hmm.
jaded old person, when you see that moment realized on screen, you're like, oh yeah, there's that friend. How did I meet that friend again? I've known them since 1993.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my aunt and this mom were doing tennis together in the same daycare, and a play date happened, and then I guess that's where it started. And then you just get emotional thinking about
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
earliest the earliest moments of friendship, whether they're there or not anymore. It's a really special thing to see. And yeah, as a parent, I like as someone who was very fortunate enough to have friends all of his life, was never really bullied, was never popular, but kind of did a good job of playing the zone and being included in everything and having my lanes that was able to find people. But for people that don't, so it feels easy, or it felt easy growing up. But yeah, as a parent, when you just maybe assume your kids are going to find people and then they're not, that must be such a strange feeling. And maybe Wes or Sloan or whoever doesn't even have that reaction to it yet. But and they're just like, oh, whatever. I'm hanging out with my parents, my dog, my
Hmm.
toys. That's good. But at some point, it's going to become a problem. And so yeah, it was a really special scene from Toy Story 5.
Yeah, I think everyone has a different experience of that growing up, and I think what the series Toy Story franchise has done well is kind of be mindful of all those different experiences. Bonnie's
Mm-hmm.
seems like a different kid than Andy was, and has different parents and different experience, and the toys themselves have different personalities, and ways of relating to each other's in the world. So yeah, they're just really smart about how they go about these movies. I don't know. I'm kind of with you that it's like Toy Story 6, is that, do we really need it? But I said the exact same thing about Toy Story 4, and I just said I'm glad this franchise is still going. So I think with the right, I think just making a sixth one just because of money, I don't think it would work. But if they have the right story, they have the right character focus, I think it could work. But when you said earlier, were you like, I don't need to see any more, like I'm good, or were you like, this is a perfect capper, or how were you feeling when you?
I've kind of come around the other side from this franchise, where after Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4 was announced, I was like, what are we doing, guys? Like, it was a good story. It worked, but I was just like, whatever. And then this Toy Story 4 landed just enough. This landed a little bit less than that, but it's not getting worse, really. The franchise, like, if you're comparing to Toy Story 3, then yeah, it's getting worse. But so yeah, like if sequels can be as steady as these, and it's an animated film with the highest quality, so the next one's not coming out until 2030, probably at the earliest. They don't really rush these.
Yeah.
Pixar is in kind of its sequel era for the last 10 years or so. So it's not, their original creations aren't doing as well as often, which is the case across the whole industry. So definitely frustrating just that they're going to continue making them in some ways, but I'm going to still see, this one's pretty foolproof of like all the other things in my life that have been remade or with 20 sequels that I'm kind of out on. This is not one of those franchises. If anything, it's probably at the top of like, yeah, keep making them, whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What about you?
Yeah. I think I'm with you. I don't think Pixar is. I think they kind of have their strategy now. They're making a lot of sequels, and then they'll sprinkle in some original stuff, see if something hits. But they're not just cranking out, like they were 20 years ago, one brilliant new movie after another every year, basically. Before our animated movie Mount Rushmore, and for when I on the newsletter last week, I did a Pixar movies Mount Rushmore, where I just picked the 4 movies that I would be on my personal Pixar Mount Rushmore. Going through their early lineup and like, oh my gosh, like basically every year they had Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, Wall-E, Incredibles. Like they were just every single year cranking out these what are now animated classics. They're not really in that stage anymore. And I think looking at I don't know if you're ready to move in the Mount Rushmore part of the conversation now, but I was like, which one would I put on if I was only had to pick one for my animated movie Rushmore? Which one would I go with? Yeah,
before we move on to the Mount Rushmore, just to kind of give one final stamp on the moving forward aspect of it all, how it fits into the themes of this story and why it's probably trying to be a little bit nicer to the technology aspect, and then how it relates to what we talked about on top with the news. I think it is important to point out Pixar isn't Apple products. Have been advancing technology ever since that division was created. Finally get to a point in this movie where it's trying to reckon with that point. And I think it pretty much wimped out on the message I think a lot of the creators would want to. And again, important to bring nuance. Not every movie just needs the generic villain. I think that's important, especially for kids. But also, I think it's important to point out, like it's Pixar as a whole that stains a little bit for me, just having an annoying adult brain about it. While also, if they're going to continue creating good messaging and awareness to kids and having enough of a biting tongue, I think I'm okay with it. But in the context of this movie with adult brain, having no kids, the villain of the iPad being so forgiving immediately and not being a true villain really at all, I was like, can you give me a little bit more of me hating Greta Lee's character of Lilypad? That would have been great. And also, I think Greta Lee's great, so I think she could have done a lot more with a better villain. And yeah, she had an emotional beat of some kind that gave some gravitas to it because she's a great actress. But yeah, that's like the one thing with the movie where I'm definitely positive on it. Excited I saw it, cried twice by the end. my brain's always going to go back there, and I think I need to be as honest about that as I can without being an annoying curmudgeon that wants to
No,
hate
you're
things
not
from time to
alone.
time. So yeah.
I've seen people say that they wanted the movie to go harder on the tech, and yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I mean, I think within the movie, yeah, I think maybe the iPad characters, lily pad characters turn maybe doesn't make quite as much narrative sense. But as far as what they're trying to get across with the end message, I think there was a through line there for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think some people are, they don't want to. I see what you're saying. I guess is
Mhm.
where I'm headed.
And at the end of the day, they're trying to portray these characters as toys, and in the context of this movie, which decided to be in the real world for really the first time, like all the other ones are its own separate thing, like touching on like real human emotion. But this is the first time probably Toy Story has tried to insert itself into real life, day to day kids worlds.
Yeah, you get
Maybe
more
yeah,
of
in the
Bonnie
modern
and
era, yeah,
her life than Andy really in
yeah,
the first three
exactly.
movies.
So at the end of the day, the iPad, the anything is still a toy to a child, and whether it has as an emotional connection as a doll can or anything like that, maybe not. It's obviously solely different, but so yeah, they're not just gonna then all of a sudden banish technology from the future movies. It's gonna keep coming back, and it's
Right.
Toy Story, so I feel like they're gonna get creative about it, and I can only imagine how creative they're gonna get about it. But yes, let's go to our Mount Rushmore. Ended a little bit positive. Drew and I have revealed these to ourselves before the podcast started. So Drew, go down your list real quick. You go down mine, and since it's the Mount Rushmore, we're not necessarily tying a character from the movie to the president as like this character is like George Washington, this character is like Abraham Lincoln, but we're replacing the faces with a character from the movies that we're picking. So Drew, give us your.
Do you want to go back and forth, or are we doing down the line?
You just go down the line, and then I'll go down the line, and then we'll give some context to it and why we picked it. Yeah.
So for mine, I kind of just came up and didn't really tie it to the president specifically, but I came up with 4 kind of categories to pick from, which were childhood Drew, adult Drew, Pixar, and Disney.
There you go.
So kind of those are kind of like Pixar and Disney. Those are the ones I've seen the most. So picking.
Oh, that's important. We should talk about this. Pixar movies are different than Disney movies. They're owned by the same company. They are different, like very distinctly different. So I like the delineation
for people who don't
between that.
Follow this as closely as we do. Yeah. And then, so for my George Washington, try to think of, the founding animated movie for myself. And I think it's going to be The Lion King. That would fall in the Disney camp. I think that was one of the first movies that I remember being just completely knocked over by and just taken with and swept up in. So when it comes to the animated movies that I still consider to be the greats, The Lion King, I think is got to be it for me. I think
Drew, did you know that The Lion King was based on Hamlet? I bet you never even knew that.
Yeah.
wow. Yeah.
I didn't
crazy.
know that when I was 5.
I know.
It, but I know it now. Yeah.
Yeah. No wonder you liked it. It's a Shakespearean play, you idiot.
Yeah. For my, I'll do my my Lincoln next. The other big one, and I think for me as a kid, was Toy Story. I already mentioned. So I think the original. I'll go with the original. However, in my article in the newsletter, I think I said Toy Story 3. I actually slightly prefer Toy Story 3 than the original. But just thinking from purely a Mount Rushmore, foundational standpoint, the original I think is got to be on there for me. So I'll put that in the Lincoln spot. Don't really know how it ties to Lincoln, but for the Jefferson spot,
I'm trying to think of a joke of how like Woody freed Buzz. from
Yeah,
his
who
technological enslavement. Like it's
yeah, how
like
many
yeah,
were there any toys enslaved in the original? Actually, they were. Sid enslaved his toys,
he
or
did.
he
Yes, yeah, actually, very
abused
much so.
them, mistreated them in the
Yeah, yeah,
first one.
absolutely. They had
We'll flesh that
something.
out.
Well, flesh.
That metaphor.
Stay tuned for our 4,000 word essay later this
comparing
week. Yes,
comparing
the Toy
Sid
Story
to the
franchise to the
Confederacy.
America's ills. Yes, this will work out great.
It'd be a great piece. Okay, so Jefferson. This was my toughest one. So those the first two are my kind of my Pixar and my Disney choices. My Jefferson, which is kind of the movie that kind of I think kind of carries on the legacy or carries on the interest in kind of this type of storytelling. I picked one for my childhood. I picked Aladdin.
Mhm.
A Disney movie that I have not seen in a minute, but I do remember being extremely invested in Aladdin. The songs, just everything about it, the action adventure part of it. Um, but again, that the childhood section that I kind of wrote down was a lot of movies that I have not seen in a minute and don't remember
Right.
if the quality is still there. So that was kind of that category. And the last one on my Mount Rushmore, which would be the Teddy Roosevelt section, I'm going to go with a Miyazaki. I'll do My Neighbor Totoro, which would be kind of more in the adult Drew category, because I did not grow up with the Studio Ghibli Miyazaki movies. I've come to them recently and showed them to my kids. My kids love Totoro. It's one of their favorites, and it's become one of my favorites. So I have to put that one on there just because Miyazaki is such a master, and I'm still exploring his works, but that's my favorite of the five or so I've seen. So yeah, those are my four. I have a lot of alts that I considered, but I'll let you read off yours before I throw out any other ideas.
Amazing Mount Rushmore. After I reveal mine, we'll kind of think of, because obviously we can't have 8 characters, so we'll have to negotiate which characters are going to be on the Mount Rushmore, and I'll reveal mine as I go down my list. But you're having me rethinking where I place these, though, so this is going to be good. All right, I'm going to start off with. I'm going to keep Fantastic Mr. Fox where it's at for the George Washington. Stop motion animation as I grew up in Wallace and Gromit. Was it Gumby? It was like a big show for me growing up.
Gumby,
so like I've always had So I've always had like a soft spot for it, and then came to Fantastic Mr. Fox late. And I'm glad for that, because if I'm going to give it like the same adult category, this is when I found it, and just so witty, so playful. I think George Clooney, if you're going to like do a Mount Rushmore for his career, like he's probably up there for me with this performance. I think he's really magnificent in this, and in the Wes Anderson charm. It's hardly ever been more vibrant than it has been in Fantastic Mr. Fox, and the leader of that society, stoic, forceful when he needs to be. Maybe George Washington had a sly sense of humor. I don't know, but my second one, and this one, a lot of the characters I'm picking for my Mount Rushmore are a little bit more off the beaten path, a little bit, not off the beaten path, but there's no comparison to the president. So the Lego movie I put in here for no real reason besides I liked it. I didn't know what to put for Abraham Lincoln for any of my picks. But I found this movie to be, it came out while I was in college. Phil Lord and Chris Miller directed it, and immediately fell in love with this movie. Like, if we had Do Like Apples then, it would have been pushing top 3 for that year probably. I loved this movie at the time, and felt all the emotional beats. Perfectly came out, like probably more jaded about it now based on how like the Lego Batman's come out and a lot of those other spin-offs where I'm like, all right, well, it started here. It was very inventive. I wish it would have stopped. It didn't. But it had a lot of pop culture references from the entire Lego universe, but then centered it with the main character played by Chris Pratt when he was Fat Pratt still, from what I understand. So that's why it's so great. I'll have to look up the main character's name off the top of my head. But the main reason I love this movie is Will Ferrell's turn as President Business. So smart in the way he portrays his character and how the character is written, and how the nature of Lego is freeing and beautiful, and like Toy Story a little bit. You're able to create these beautiful worlds using the tool that is Lego, and then you pull yourself back, and it's a business scheme, and they're trying to take your money and all of that, and then pushing and pulling with all of the characters in that movie. I just thought it was really beautiful, and then like any good kids movie should, have a very beautiful message at the end that sticks the landing. Yeah, Emmett is Chris Pratt's character, and the whole thing about this movie is there's a prophecy in classic cliche fashion. Emmett is a person that shouldn't be a part of the prophecy, but he's given it anyway. By the time he shows down with Will Ferrell's president of business, the thing that he's carrying on his back is called the special. And the way they use that to say, like, no one's the most special. You're all beautiful. It's very sing-songy and silly and eye-rolly at times, but man, it really worked for me at the time it came out. I didn't really know if animated movies could do that. Thomas Jefferson, Toy Story 3. I'm putting Lotso on the Mount Rushmore fully because adult jaded brain that I brought up at the end of the Toy Story 5 review. You kind of have to have a person you look back on. You're like, oh, Thomas Jefferson, founding father, sure. Man, that guy did some messed up things. And we'll go with that with Lotso. Had his reign, ran a very under controlled day school, had the system in place to keep that going.
Lotso wasn't from ethical. Toy Story 3, by the way.
Yes, exactly. Did I not say Toy Story 3? I just said Lotso. Toy Story 3 is for Thomas Jefferson. Lotso is the character I'm putting in Mount Rushmore. But yeah, love this movie. As I talked about, Toy Story 5 came out as Andy was going to college. I was going to college. If it wasn't just a masterful movie, that would carry me through completely as well. But the hardest I've ever laughed in a Toy Story movie, I wouldn't say I almost say I cried more in Toy Story 5, but the real fear that these characters were going to die in a incinerator was crazy. The fact that they went that route with that, and I believed it.
Yeah.
Like, I had no idea how that was going to end when they were inches away from dying, and then the claw.
It's
with
still
the
so
aliens.
powerful too. You watch
it's
it
so
now,
powerful.
even though you know the ending, and you're like,
so crazy,
get burned up. This is terrible.
It is insane. And then Andy passing the toys off to Bonnie at the end.
Yeah,
which is like, looking back, it's like, Andy, I don't think you should be like, I have an emotional attachment to your toys, but delaying your trip to college solely to play with toys.
Hour of play with your toys exactly. When you're 18.
Yeah. There's a good Adult Swim sketch where it's like Andy comes home from college and he like has a girl in his bedroom. He's turned Buzz into a bong, and it's just like complete mayhem. And it makes me laugh so hard, and it's so messed up. It really, really makes me laugh. But Toy Story 3 has to be on my Mount Rushmore. And then for Teddy Roosevelt, I have Beauty and the Beast. Again, no real connection, but I have Belle as my figure. The Beast deserves it too. But my mom would always tell me the story when this came out in 93, I believe. And maybe not, maybe it came out the year I was born. But I had pneumonia when I was really young. And supposedly the only way I would take my medicine is if she would put on this movie. So yeah, it came out the year I was born. It's a musical. I'm a notorious, really like musicals. First animated movie to be nominated for Best Picture, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, I might need to fact check that one. I've been known to be wrong.
Is that true?
But
wow.
I'm pretty sure that's right. Beauty and the Beast, Oscar. Original score, picture, and sound mixing. Yes. So that's when they had 5 nominees. So it was, it was really competing against, I don't know, maybe that was Driving Miss Daisy year, so maybe it should have won. But anyways, we'll look at that here in a second. But yeah, love this movie. Haven't revisited it in a long time. It does help that I thought the live action was pretty decent. Like, it wasn't the worst. Oh, this is the Silence of the Lambs year. It had no chance. But yeah, it has such a special place in my heart. The live action was a decent reimagining of it all. And Belle is definitely my favorite Disney princess. So yeah, that's my Mount Rushmore. So what are your characters that you can put on there?
Yeah, I guess the characters Lion King would probably have to be Simba. Um,
Mm,
I think so.
not Mufasa? Interesting.
Yeah, Mufasa's great, but I think it's Simba.
Yeah.
What I guess I go Woody for Toy Story. Just the classic. Aladdin, gotta go Genie. Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Gotta have one of the better animated voice characters on there. And then My Neighbor Totoro. It's got to be Totoro.
Hmm.
I guess you could put the two girls on there together, the two sisters, but I think Totoro is so iconic. He kind of became the Studio Ghibli logo.
Logo, right.
So I think it only makes sense that he'd be on there. But um, did you have any other ones? The only one that I was really trying to find a way to get on was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
I think those movies are so brilliant and innovative, and that's probably the one I wish I could have found a way to put on.
That might be the
all sorts of
coolest.
ones.
That might be the coolest, at least of the 21st century. It's not my favorite necessarily of the 21st century though. Fantastic Mr. Fox, Lego Movie, Toy Story 3. I would say it's definitely top 10. But it's just the coolest. Like great soundtrack, very comic realistic style. Gives us a new twist on Spider-Man, which we desperately needed at that time. And also Phil Lord and Chris Miller didn't direct it, but they produced it, and very much in the same flavor of humor as Lego Movie, but with maybe not as much heart. But yeah, just cool and action filmmaking to the max in an animated movie. That you don't
some
see
of the
very
best
often.
animated action filmmaking ever. Yeah,
it's so cool.
Do you have any others from your childhood? Like I have like ones that I remember loving, like Hercules, Pocahontas, but I haven't seen those in so long.
Hercules is kind of
Mulan.
like if I'm like gun to my head, rank top 5 favorite Disney movies, Hercules is in there for sure. I love.
Oh, really?
Hercules.
Wow.
That's the one I would say I went back to the most as a kid. Beauty and the Beast holds a more special place in my heart, but Hercules, just something about Meg in that movie. That's the character's name, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, hilarious name for a Disney princess is Meg. But
wow, was it Meg? That sounds right, but
I'm pretty sure it is.
Seems wrong.
Right. Exactly. But I just found like
Megara is the full name.
Megara, but yeah, they call her Meg throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's something about her sassiness. Maybe it's linked to Lola Bunny. I don't know. If it's strong.
There you go.
Strong, independent, but also
sassy female animated
characters, but secretly soft is right up my alley. So that's up there for sure. But the one I left off, that was my really hard to leave off. Lion King was on there, and then The Nightmare Before Christmas. If you count that full animated, it's like similar to Fantastic Mr. Fox, but really love that movie. Just like that's one watched as a kid, thought was very cool. Linked it like to Beetlejuice in my brain, and then revisiting as an adult, it's one of those ones that like it's more meant for adults. Spooky season, spooky light,
right?
Just really, really enjoy it, and that was really hard to leave off because it's one of the most inventive, I would say, that I've ever seen. And I'm pretty novice on animated movies, so I haven't seen much Miyazaki. I've seen Totoro. I've seen Howl's Magic Castle, Music Castle,
Howl's Moving Castle,
Moving Castle, and then that might be it. So I've seen very little Miyazaki.
Were you I really loved Emperor's New Groove as a kid.
I would know. I'm going to Peru this fall though, but I was not a big Emperor's New Groove guy, and like it took until like it was like similar to Shrek for me, where I like Shrek more than Emperor's New Groove, but all of a sudden there was a hive that would get served on all my social media. Like it's actually one of the best. And I was like, really? And then I see the clips and like the clips are making me laugh. So I might need to give it a full shot before.
Funny. David Spade. I really enjoy that movie. I would say that's similar to Shrek for me, where it's like one that I really enjoyed back then. Maybe I don't hold it in as high esteem as like some of these other ones, but still really make me laugh. Still really enjoyable experiences. Do you think we'll get any blowback because we don't have Shrek in our Rushmore? I know that's a huge millennial Gen Z pick.
Yeah, maybe, but also it was so I feel like I met the moment when it happens. Like I had all the soundtracks. I was vibing with all the iterations of the characters. Yeah, I was there. And so the fact that it's like getting a resurgence is great. Like whatever. Like I love Mike Myers. Give him a shot to continue to make a lot of money and give a new spin on these movies. And I've seen the first 3 maybe, and all were good. So yeah, it's fine. I like it a lot, but it's one of those. Yeah. Well, I think it was Bravo has that top 100 scary moments, and they also had a similar series at that time, top 100 funniest movies or whatever. And if I remember right, I need to look this up. It's Shrek at 3 for all comedy movies.
Whoa!
Bravo top 100 funniest movies.
That's bold.
Let's see if I can find.
It's a funny movie, but come on. I mean, that's
Shrek number 3. What? Animal House number 1, Caddyshack number 2, Shrek number 3. So
wow.
And when did this? I wonder when this aired for the first time. So maybe they just had to plant their flag a little bit. I can't really see when it came out for the first time, but wild pick. And hey, good for them. I mean, it brought in all the fairy tales that we grew up and loved and all of that. But before we kind of finish our honorable mentions, what about animated shorts? Like I'm thinking like the Rudolphs and Grinch, stop motion animation, that type of thing. But I have one in particular that's more of a Disney Pixar short. But anything like that sticks out in your mind?
The Christmas ones for sure. Charlie Brown, like the holiday ones. Really more, I'm trying to think of a non-holiday one that for an animated, but the original Grinch, How the Grinch Stole Christmas is huge, and it was huge in my house growing up, and is still one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm. I really don't stand for the Jim Carrey version. It's fine, but some people really love that movie. But
I know some people love it, but
I don't really understand it.
I don't love it.
And it has nothing to do with the original being like, oh, it's not like the original. Like the original's 20 minutes long. It's so different, but it's just not my bag. But did you ever see the animated short from Pixar called Paperman?
I did. I have seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's on YouTube for anybody that wants to.
I think it won
the
short animated short.
Yeah, I believe it did, but that was the first time I really had ever seen an animated short. And obviously it's Disney Pixar. It's kind of being served to you. As I hope it's going to get one of those, the animated short Oscar. So I'm sure there's so many brilliant animated shorts that I have no relationship to because they don't have Disney backing them. But the music, I don't think nobody speaks a word in that. Mm-hmm. It's a love story. I just thought it was so beautiful, and especially the music really, really knocked me out when I listened to it the first time. And I think I had like my alarm for a while, waking up. Like it was just like all encompassing at one point in my life. And it's not worthy of being on the Mount Rushmore, but I had to call that one out because not many short films have ever made me as emotional as watching that from all different angles. And it was just really, really good. So
that's a good shout. People should go watch that one if they just have a free 20, 30 minutes or whatever.
All right, last thing before we log off, we have to decide the characters that are on the Mount Rushmore from our movies. So I'm comfortable throwing off Lotso. That feels like a pool that our country that we're memorializing. We don't want that energy in our animated founding fathers. So only one on the list I'm like has to be on there is Woody. That's a good pull. For
are you saying we're picking 4 from
4 characters from each of our picks.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can't have 8. Yeah. So our 4 negotiating what characters. I think Woody's the only green right now off the top of my head.
Okay.
If you would have picked Mufasa, I think I would have gone that way. But
I think Belle, because we got to have a Disney princess on there.
Yeah, and the future is female, so
of course,
always.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So we got Woody, Belle.
We can't have Totoro on there. That's a creature.
What?
Right? Isn't Totoro a creature?
Yeah, but why can't a creature be on there?
You gotta have thoughts, don't you? Like they have empathy and all that.
So, well, then Mr. Fox can't be on. He's not a person.
But he's talking the whole time. Isn't Totoro kind of like more of a?
Yeah, Totoro doesn't talk, but okay, all right. I'll go along.
You fight it. You seemed pretty.
Well, if we're trying to represent animated cinema,
Mhm.
I think there's a good argument for Totoro as a representative figure.
He's like Jerry West kind of. Yeah, like a logo. So you might have to.
The logo.
Yeah, the logo.
I like that comp.
Yeah.
Jerry West and Totoro, aka the logos.
I mean, important for, I guess Jerry West was a human and big to basketball. Maybe Totoro's similar, like lost the time a little bit. Other people have passed him up as iconic, but maybe he's got to be
You're
there.
saying Totoro couldn't hang in the current Miyazaki era?
Oh, could not hang in the current Miyazaki, of which I've seen. I think I saw I saw Boy in the Heron. It was fine. I liked it. But yeah, he couldn't hang in the LeBron James-esque version of modern Miyazaki, the man that's retired 17 times but always keeps making movies.
Who else would you put on? Who else do you think could go on there? I'm fine with Mr. Fox going on there. I mean, that's okay, a great character.
That's the one for my list. Oh yeah, I guess you already put Belle on there. So yeah, Belle. Let's 2 from each side, I guess. So where are you going to pull from? Genie, Totoro, or Simba?
So
I would say Simba's at the bottom for me, to be honest. Simba,
wow,
I find
anti-Simba.
Yeah, I'm pretty anti-Simba. Like he's great, like great character, but in my mind, the Lion King just ends there, and we have no prediction of how his kingdom actually survived.
Wow, this is a good take. I gotta say,
did he do a good job?
This is like the Luke Skywalker is like a whiny bitch take. Like,
right? The kind of though.
Character
like,
is
yeah. Who the hell voices him? Ferris Bueller.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but what's his name in real life?
Matthew Broderick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like does a good job kind of giving that Luke Skywalker, like, man, you're kind of annoying me, but by the time Return of the Jedi comes around, I buy it. Whereas The Lion King, I guess they did have a bunch of sequels, so maybe I got to catch up on those and see for myself. But
so were you an Aladdin kid? Would you go Genie?
Yeah,
as our last.
I did love it. I did love Aladdin, especially Genie. I mean, Robin Williams was
okay. Yeah, because just thinking about the voices behind these characters, you got Robin Williams as Genie, Tom Hanks as Woody, Clooney as Mr. Fox, Belle. I don't know if I know who voiced Belle.
No, but I also think that's good. It's that's a complaint from a lot of people, voice actors, is that, hey, stop using celebrities. Just get someone that's talented at voice acting. So maybe Belle can fall into that, depending on, maybe it's Margot Robbie that voiced her way back in the day. But
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
This says Paige O'Hara.
Okay, yeah. So,
but yeah, I think that's a good Rushmore. Yeah.
All right, so our Mount Rushmore is Woody, Genie, Belle, and Mr. Fox. I like it.
Perfect.
Unconventional.
That's perfect.
That is a nation I want to live in for sure.
It definitely leans 90s, but we're a couple of 90s kids, so of course it's going to.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's all I got for this episode. Thank you so much for joining, Drew. Reminder, choose your adventure day. If you stayed here this whole time, Saturday, June 27th, we have 7 partners. All you have to do is go see a movie, hopefully with a massive group of people, see the same or different movie, but get a drink or a bite before or after with your movie stub. And if you're a freak like me, see one movie, utilize all 7 offers. And we're all over St. Louis. We're even out of St. Louis. St. Charles has got a couple of representatives. We got Arnold, Missouri. We got Richmond Heights and Des Moines. We got the city on Wash Ave. We got De Pere, Missouri, which is essentially Creve Coeur. So yeah, we got our bases covered kind of. And as we grow events, we hope to partner with more local businesses and people and all that good stuff. So this is our first stab at it in a real capacity. And it's going to be a ton of fun to see what the turnout is on Saturday. And all the notes of what we want you guys to do on the day of will be in the show notes. And yeah, Drew, anything else before we sign off?
No, join us on Saturday. Choose your own adventure.
See y'all later.
Do you like apples?